the meeting to order. Craig, if you want to do a roll call.
Allison Buck,
Here.
Deborah Mexicott,
Here.
Jonah Copey, David Esau,
Here.
Sarah Fuller,
Muted.
muted,
Here.
but we see her. Sophie Gray,
Here.
John Katarski,
Here.
Peggy Leonard,
Here.
and Wasenta Young. You have and also council member Radina.
Here.
That don't want to forget the important one. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Next, we will move on to approval of the agenda. If I have a motion for such.
So moved.
Thank you, David. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Deb. Any discussion of the agenda? All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Opposed? No, okay. All right, I think we're all in favor of moving on with the agenda. And then we get to come to our most fun part of the meeting, our public comments. And I see that we have Aaron and I'm assuming Julian here with us to
correct.
present. So you guys can take it away.
Well, thank you so much for having us. It's a real honor to be here.
Yeah, thank you to Vanita, who we've been emailing with, for inviting us.
Can everybody hear us all right? I just want to make sure.
Sure.
That
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So I don't know if all of you have seen the slides that we sent to Vanita, but we'll just give you a quick rundown of who we are, why we're interested in getting some more public art around Ann Arbor, and I guess we'll go from there. So Aaron and I are founders of the Pickle Street Mural Co-op, and we'll get more into what it is in a little bit. But we are both recent U of M grads. We graduated virtually, of course, this past spring, and are looking to just bring more color to Ann Arbor.
So Pickle Street Mural Co. is a mural organization that we've created to bring local artists together and have a platform to paint and design murals locally. And
So again, we were both U of M grads, and Aaron was an art student, and I helped found a mural painting company, which again we'll get to in a little bit. But basically, we loved the freedom that we had when we were students, of like being able to create an organization and have really anybody who wanted to be involved. And a lot of our friends, we both had plans of moving out of Ann Arbor after we graduated, but like a lot of our friends, we found that the social connections we made during our time at U of M was something that we can't get in society right now. So we, like a lot of us, we actually ended up staying around at U of M, like in Ann Arbor. And so we just decided that, like, why not just try to replicate the freedom and the sense of community that we had at U of M, and try to make a mural organization that brought in like our fellow muralists and our fellow students and our friends, and try to build community while also making Ann Arbor a more colorful spot. So I see that the screen is up. So yeah, now I'll go into a little bit about myself. Again, I founded this organization called Live in Color, which is a art organization at U of M. The most high profile mural we did was painting Ruse Roast. I don't know how much you guys know of John Roos, but we came really close. And after I painted at Argus Farm Stop, actually, he saw the mural there, and we ended up painting his storefront, which turned out super well. And but mostly we were painting on campus in usually the older buildings. But it was great because students from all across campus could come. And like you can see from this picture, most of the designs are very geometric. So what we would do is we would put up this like geometric kind of paint by numbers almost, and then have anybody who wanted to, free of skill level or application, be able to come and paint. So it was a very inclusive and beginner friendly place where someone could just come, show up, paint like one of these red triangles, and then leave having a sense of ownership over a space, which was really great to see. And then also I painted houses professionally, which is where I got a lot of the skills. So these are a couple other places. This top left one is actually in the now closed Ann Arbor Brewing Company. This bottom left one, we teamed up with the union for their new opening, which was super fun. And we actually painted this while there was like that open tour of the union. And then the two on the right are in the Modern Languages building, which is one of the oldest and kind of forgotten about buildings on campus. So we were able to work with the facilities managers there and bring a lot of color to the building.
And a bit about me, I graduated with my BFA from Stamps, the U of M Art School, and I was an interdisciplinary artist, painter, and also I worked on a lot of community-oriented projects. On the very right, I'm painting at the Mario grocery store it was a like, performance piece / public art proposal question about what it means to paint in an ordinary space like the grocery store, and what it means to see this grocery store with the beauty of something you would give attention to, like a beautiful landscape or something that is more traditional. And so, there's a few more, thank you. Yeah, a few more paintings and some designs that I made throughout my school year. And here are some larger scale designs from some artists that we really admire. I'll
talk about Alex. So like I said earlier, a lot of the designs that I tend to gravitate towards are very just bright. I think Aaron and I both are just like very bright, geometric, not political, controversial, like complicated, but just simply bringing color and design and a sense of place to a space, and allowing, again, like I think what was so cool about this one we were on the left, and some of the ones we did in Live in Color were just simply allowing anybody who wanted to be involved. And this is just an example of someone who has inspired me.
Mm-hmm. And Morag Myerscough on the right. Oh, yeah. So I met her through the Stamps lecture series, and she talked a lot about how designs can influence people's feelings of belonging and a sense of place in their neighborhoods or cities. And I really love her message. So on this next slide, there are...
so if you go to the...
Yeah.
Could we possibly have we go to the next... exactly. So this is the first proposal that we have in terms of the place. Aaron and I are both big runners, and we run down along the Arb. As I'm sure many of you have been here. And from the pictures you can see it's like just graffitied and kind of forgotten about. And I think part of this whole project that Aaron and I are both really excited about is like bringing back like belonging and also just like ownership to like forgotten about and kind of discarded parts of Ann Arbor. One that's like simultaneously a big throughway for a lot of walkers, bikers, runners, and also one that's like not very high profile just in terms of its visibility, which I think is like a cool, it both challenges people's conception about what matters, but also just like brings color to a place that is forgotten. So we imagined, again, so I think this middle picture on the top is if you're coming from the Argo Cascades and you're walking down under the bridge. It's granite, concrete, and really just forgotten about. So we both into like plain geometric designs could imagine just a really beautiful design that kind of runs all the way from the top down under the bridge and kind of covers the graffiti, obviously, and brings a sense of place and color to a kind of drab and forgotten about part of Ann Arbor.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first design area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. And this second design area is in this new tunnel that was just built. We noticed these panels of concrete throughout the tunnels, and one day while we were walking or running through it, we imagined it each panel a different color, and so it's like this rainbow tunnel of color, and thinking about how much our inner child would love that, and it could possibly go out, if you look to the bottom right photo, it could extend a little bit outside of the tunnel along the sides, welcoming people through.
Is your title an editorial comment?
Our title.
Lower Dam, Argo Pond.
Oops, typo.
Maybe subconsciously,
Yeah.
yes.
Freudian slip.
We'll tell our editor that was not okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's number 2.
Yeah, number 2. And this third one, this is in the same area under the bridge of Division and Depot Street. Just another nice, fresh canvas underneath. And we could envision another more simplistic, colorful design, something that is wonderful to drive by or walk by or run by. Yeah, and so on these next slides, we have some of our designs, so that you can get a feel for what we could come up with together. These are definitely examples, and we're super happy to work side by side to make a final design together. But we wanted to give you a taste. And then there's some more on the next slide as well. Do you want to say anything about these?
Yeah. I mean, so these two. So I think what's becoming, I hope, is clear is like the idea is like bright geometric color. Again, that like doesn't necessarily always convey a message, but a lot of the time just like lets people become excited and welcomed into a space. Also, yeah, it's kind of combining this like this color and everything with forgotten about spaces, which I hope was clear with the couple design areas that we included, like under bridges and in graffitied spaces, and in tunnels and such. So again, like Aaron said, we'd be more than happy to shift design, like exact designs and work with you all. But we just wanted to have our message come across that like we are just super excited about the possibility even of just bringing some sort of color and some sort of design to a lot of the places that have been somewhat neglected and but are still high trafficked.
Yeah, and some of these, on this slide, these words like write more friends, do your art, those are some things that I took from my own like journaling, New Year's resolutions, writing. So we could also even work with city members, maybe set up a booth out at the farmers market and crowdsource words, and work with like the community for words in that sort of way. So something that's very like a very democratic thing. Yeah.
I believe that's the last slide. Like Aaron said, we have like a good amount of funding that's simply like we both did this in college. Like Aaron was an amazing artist and I was doing this mural painting, and our families are supportive, our friends. We live in Lower Burns Park, and are like wrapping ourselves in that neighborhood. And So we have the funding necessary to make this idea a reality. And again, I just want to hit home the fact that like the designs aren't like set in stone. We're really just trying to bring a sense of color and place and happiness to kind of a gray winter and a great time in our lives. So we'd love to hear questions from you all if you have any, or comments or anything really.
Yeah, thank you again for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, I'd say thank you for being here, guys. This is awesome. I have seen your work around town and love it. I would want to get some questions out of the way before we got too deep into it. And that actually, this is for Vanita and Craig. The spaces that they identified, are those all city-owned spaces, including like under the bridge there? It's not any of it's like federal or highway or outside of your jurisdiction, or do you know? Craig, you're muted.
Yeah, first thing I'll do is get off of mute. I believe all those are our spaces.
Okay.
And they mentioned they have funding, so that's usually the biggest hurdle for us. And a little bit on when we talk about the Allen Creek berm opening, that may be a good place to put some of the murals, and we can discuss the hurdle that we are facing right there on that project right now. Because they're bringing the funding, I think you folks could be the adjudicators of the art that is going up on it, and it could be fairly streamlined.
Yeah, I mean, in our experience, we have found that including the public in the process, the selection process, has been
Yes.
beneficial, not only so that they feel included and then have some sort of connection to the ultimate piece, but also then there is some input, there's more ability for us to communicate with the public and emphasize the importance of public art, which I can tell you guys really care about and are passionate about. And also I love the fact that your murals allow the ability for the community to participate in the creation of them as well, which I would encourage, if we move forward with any of these projects, to do not only in the selection of the artwork, but in the actual installation. One of the things that we are charged with is communicating about public art, but to do so is really challenging to find, the outlets and stuff to do that. I think your idea about going to the farmer's market or things and talking to people and getting their feedback is great. So I would encourage you guys to include the public as much as possible through the entire process, because as you may or may not have found, and arborites are very opinionated, and even a piece that you think is not controversial can be cloaked with lots of opinions one way or the other, even if it's just color. So including people in the process at least gives them the opportunity to say yay or nay or whatever and feel like they participated, and in the end they were part of it, they had their chance, and they can enjoy it even more.
Mm-hmm.
Let me clarify. When I said it could be streamlined, I was meaning we didn't have to do the ask for funding through council and go through that. I did not intend to be excluding public input into the process out of it, but maybe removing some of the bureaucratic hurdles.
Great. I'm assuming there would be city staff that would need to be involved as far as like preparation of the area and things too.
I would assume when they say they have funding that they could prep those walls. They are basically, except for the dam tunnel, those walls are bare concrete.
Okay.
I believe the dam tunnels already have been anti-graffiti coated. So that would, if you're going to paint inside the tunnel, you have to do something to strip the anti-graffiti coating off.
Okay. And then the other thing I would say, that all preparations are not equal. If, you know, you guys probably have seen a lot of the public art around town. If you've noticed the building on, I want to say it's on Fifth. It's either Fifth or Fourth. I always get the two confused. But the old Oxford Properties building, there's a two-tiered mural. And we just talked with Oxford Properties in our couple of our meetings ago. And the top of the mural, as on one building, got prepped in one way, and the bottom of the mural got prepped in another way. And the top mural is peeling away, and it's really sad, and the bottom still looks good. So, you know, we would want to know what your prep was and why you're using that prep. And also, when you do a project with a city, you leave historical remnants for maintenance purposes, as far as how it was created and what type of maintenance you would recommend moving forward, so that the city can do upkeep if they so choose to do so.
And there would be some sort of legal contract, because when you put a piece of art on a city structure, you are going to give up all your artist's rights to that piece of art. Meaning, as an artist right, we would have to preserve it if we didn't have your artist rights. And you would have to sign away the artist rights. You would still get acknowledgement for it, etc. But if we were to demo the bridge, we don't have to preserve the art.
Sophia, your hand is up.
Yeah, I was, maybe I was wrong, but I was thinking there was already a plan for the tunnel to be.
We will discuss that a little later.
Okay.
I believe the plan for the tunnel is not the inside of the tunnel.
Correct. It's at the end. It's the lower wall as you come out of it.
Oh, so there's nothing inside planned at the moment?
No.
Oh, okay.
So wouldn't it be nice?
Yes.
Peggy.
I just had a question. Thank you for your presentation. I love your designs and the idea, the concept. You talked about involving the community in the painting process. How does that work? How do you get people? How does the whole thing come together?
Yeah, I mean, so speaking from my experience at U of M, so it was a lot of flyering, emailing, this and that, and then again, like we had a dedicated staff, like inner team of like 15 people who would just like show up 2 hours early or so and just like use the painter's tape or chalk or whatever to just like outline everything. And then at noon, everybody else would show up and we'd have the paint already poured into buckets and all this stuff. And people would just really come. And what was fun is a lot of the time, so a lot of the time we would have it planned out, but then a lot of the time we would also let folks like decide what color would go where. Like if a triangle was going to be 10 feet or 20 feet or this or that. So we could really scale the involvement of the community, basically from picking up a paintbrush all the way down through helping design it. Because like in those designs that both of us showed, especially like the first one on the red page, there were like polka dots everywhere, and you could like talk about how many polka dots you wanted to add or this or that, or what color one of the streaks would be. So in terms of actually day of logistics, again, it could vary depending on what like the desired level of outcome of involvement would be. And then in terms of like before painting day would require just flyering and getting the word out. Again, we are on the Lower Burns Park email chain, just using like modes of communication similar to that, just to kind of blast the opportunity out through local newspapers, like this and that.
You have different areas. Are you going to focus on one in particular? Like if you had a preference? I'm assuming you're not going to have the 3 projects going all at one time.
Yeah. I mean, I think what would be super amazing is the first project that we proposed, that like the lower part of Argo Dam that goes under that Broadway tunnel.
First.
That would, it would definitely be one at a time, with kind of a headquarters set up. And again, we have like the Living Color project is still ongoing, and we have friends in the area, so we could get like a crew of dedicated individuals to come help us day of be kind of like overseers of the project. But yeah, we wouldn't be spread out throughout Ann Arbor painting all at once and everything.
John?
Mute, John. You're on mute, John.
I said, Jeff and Aaron, I think it's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And piggyback a little bit on Allison in terms of what I really like about the project is the synergy. So the fact that you're incorporating folks in helping make the project, helping design the project. And to me, that's unique. And that's an art form in and of itself. And as you are probably aware, some neighborhoods have a little more power than others. You're very fortunate to be in Burns Park. I mean, you know, those are the movers and shakers of this town. So you can raise money kind of easily. I would encourage you, just like Allison said, to think about taking that synergy to the next step, incorporating more and more neighborhoods and the uniqueness of the neighborhoods. And more individual groups, like there's the women's artist group, and so if you could get their buy-in, that it'll really leverage the project. And so to me, the design is very nice. You know, I like, you know, geometric designs, and it has a rich history and art history. But it's the politics of the art that really draws me into it. That, you know, you're crowdsourcing ideas, you're crowdsourcing words, and you're letting people participate and own a little bit of it. That to me brings it up a big notch, and it certainly helps us. And I think Allison said that far more eloquently than I did. But so kudos. You know, and like Craig said, you've got the money. Most of the projects that come to us are great ideas, but they really don't have the funding. And I think what Craig and Allison and I think Peggy and Sophie touched on is the sustainability of it. So the preparation of that wall, the finish of that wall, the maintenance of that wall, how often does it need to be touched up? Who's going to do that? And where's the funding for that? So I would encourage you to build into your project budget some maintenance and some documentation. And it sounds like you really have the promotion. So what we can do is help you get roadblocks out of your way. But kudos, great project.
Thank you.
Sarah?
I also wanted to commend you guys. Beautiful work and beautiful spirit. So really wonderful. And I was just wondering if any of the funding does include a bit for marketing. I think even taking out an ad in the Ann Arbor Observer, you know, those are relatively well-priced ads. And something like that could be a great way to get the word out. And if you're familiar with the Nextdoor app, that is a really great way. I'm on the app in my own neighborhood here in Ann Arbor, and it's a really great way for people within that immediate neighborhood to get together with, you know, community projects like this. And that, I believe, would not necessarily be something that you would need to pay for. But if any of that funding includes marketing.
Yeah, I think it totally we've thought a lot about it, and I think it's an amazing thing to include.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great idea about Nextdoor. I tried to get on that app when I was still in college, living on Dewey Street. But now that we're going to be here for a while, I think it's a great idea it's a great way to do it. Thank you for that idea.
Travis?
Thanks, and we're gonna start sounding like a broken record here, because I also want to just thank you and I really appreciate everything, and all of the work was really great. Actually, hearing you talk about kind of your passion for like the bright colors and shapes also reminded me of my favorite Parks and Rec episode when Tom falls in love with the with the shapes and the art. But I also just I think this is really great. I'm still new enough to this that I'm not entirely sure kind of what next steps are in terms of process. But if this were to move forward, I also really like the idea of kind of how you want to engage with the community around this, and I could see this being something that you know, Sarah brought up a good point about kind of making sure that you have some marketing built in, but also really thinking about ways that you can leverage some of the free media that you might be able to get. I think just the fact that you want to engage the community and participate in that, you might actually be able to get a story out of the Observer rather than having to pay for it. And I think, you know, to the extent that we can be helpful in making some of those connections to the right reporters and things like that to kind of pitch an idea for a story to them, might be an avenue to get some folks aware and engaged as well. And then I also just wanted to say that I know that both I and a number of my colleagues have council newsletters, and this is exactly the type of thing that we would love to be able to advertise as well. You know, really proactive ways for the opportunity to come together around something that could be exciting and community building. And so to the extent that we can be helpful as well, I'm happy to help make those connections to my colleagues and make sure that they're aware, so that it's something that they could advertise and share as well.
Craig, I see your hand.
Yes, and Travis did a beautiful job of the lead into next steps. The next steps would be to prepare a project proposal for the Art Commission to consider. And in that, you would have to include what areas you're interested in working in, your budgets, how timelines, staffing, etc., so that the Art Commission can look at it and weigh in.
And then applications on our website, correct?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I believe it is.
Vanita, would you be able to maybe send them that link to the application? Great. Wasantha, I see your hand.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Very colorful. Your spirits are colorful, the colors are colorful, and your inclusiveness and diversity is very nice, lovely. I just want you to also make sure that you include some liability insurance.
Craig, you're muted.
I'm trying to click on my mute button. That goes without saying, as part of your project, if it were to go forward, there not only is liability insurance, there is work area plans, how you protect your work area, what safety you're going to need. But that gets into the finer details as it's going forward.
Great. Sophie?
I just wanted to ask if the Pickle Street Mural Company is your website, if you have a website, or how one would contact you if with any other ideas or suggestions or questions.
Yeah. So we have an email for the Pickle Street Mural Co-op. It's called thestreetpickle@gmail.com.
And we can, I don't know if Vanita has shared it with you, but we can also tell you our emails right now as well. Would that be helpful? Mine is.
Can I maybe suggest that, Vanita, I don't know that I have the presentation, and I would love to have that as well if possible. And so maybe you could send that out along with contact information.
I sure can.
And Jeff and Aaron, this is being recorded, so if you want everyone to know your email, you can say it now, or you can just have Vanita send it to us.
Yeah, great.
Right.
Yeah, now I see the flashing red dot up in the corner.
Final comments, David?
Couple things. First of all, I just want to make sure that we're all clear. You're not asking to be paid for this at all?
Correct. So the funding will come from the crowdsourcing that we've already done and plan to do in the near future.
Cool. And then Craig, some of the locations they were looking at, I assume would need a public right-of-way permit. Would the city be able to waive those fees at all for something like this, where they're basically making a contribution to the city?
You're muted, Craig.
And it's okay because I was formulating a response in my head. I won't say that we can waive it, but there may be alternate funding for the right-of-ways. But permits. The biggest hurdle, I think, for them is going to be the insurances for working in the right-of-way.
I think that,
Go ahead, Deb.
I'm sorry, I think that when, after we see the proposal, there will be an opportunity to meet with y'all and kind of go over what those other pieces might be.
Yes.
There may also be some other funding that even we might be able to garner toward that sort of support for a project that comes to us so shovel ready and financially supported. We do have access to some funds that we have recently been able to expand. And so there are all sorts of little details that we can work out once we have the broader proposal in front of us.
Right.
One other thing I wanted to say is that as far as marketing goes, we also have ways to get the word out through social media as well through the city if indeed this is a partnership. And so it wouldn't just be on you to necessarily get the marketing done in order to get community engagement.
Mhm.
And the last thing I want to say, go ahead. No, go ahead, Alton.
I was gonna say, I think that one space that you guys are narrowing in on is right across from a DTE property. So they may be interested in supporting in some way.
Cool.
Yeah, and we might be able to create that opportunity for introduction as well. So, and the last thing I want to say is, Erin, so nice to see you, a former Arts Engine microgrant recipient. So
That's true. Oh, thank you.
Anyway, great to see you both, of course, but just wanted to do a little shout out there to say, yeah, nice to see you. Nice to see that you're how you're expanding to support the community.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you both for coming. Feel free to reach out to us with any other follow-up questions as you're putting together that application. And you're welcome to stay and stick around and listen to the rest of our meeting, although I don't know how inspiring or fun it will be. Or you can get on to the rest of your evening.
I'm sure it'll be scintillating, but the rest of your evening probably also is as well.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to take some time to hop on over and start looking at the application.
Yeah.
Great. We look
Well,
forward
thank
to
you
seeing
so much for
Yeah,
taking the
thank
time. It
you.
means a lot. And hopefully we'll talk to you all soon.
All right. So our other public commentary is not happening tonight. I will be talking to Jeff next week, so I will come back and let you guys know if there's anything regarding that needs
Okay.
further input.
If Vinita wants to jump in.
Yeah. Could we let Glenn come on next and do a presentation now before we go all the way through the agenda through the group sessions?
Yeah. Take it away, Glenn.
Well, it's funny. I struggled with how to start this because this project is maybe only about 7 or 10 days old. It just started a couple weeks ago with a quick discussion with Vinita and Sarah and David. So I do have a very short presentation to share. I so crudely put it together today just in an effort to have some talking points. So forgive me, it won't be nearly as colorful as Aaron and Julian's presentation, but as just a way of means of an introduction to this new endeavor, Vanita, are
Yep.
you able to
Yep.
to pull up some slides here?
Well, she's pulling that up. Glenn, can you tell everybody who maybe doesn't know you who you are and what you do?
Allison, that's my very first slide.
Oh, okay. I'm jumping
Spoiler.
ahead.
Allison, you get the $2 for the lead-in.
My name is Glenn Wazorek. I'm the engineer at the water plant. And I have been working on City of Ann Arbor projects for about 17 years now. Most of them for the water plant, but they have extended to Parks and Rec, and also on a couple instances directly with the Art Commission. There were two projects in particular. Can everybody see the slide here?
Yes.
The two projects that I thought to share with you today is on the left here, the Manchester Elevated Tank. Some of you may be real familiar with that whole process, but that was an extraordinary public engagement effort, receiving citywide votes on this. I believe, if I recall, we received almost 4,000 votes on this artwork, and this is the end result. As a matter of fact, it received the Tank of the Year award. It's a national award for this painting project. And the second project that I was involved in was the canoe art project. My scope was not so artistic, but rather it was designing and constructing the foundations for the artwork there. So that was still nevertheless an extremely interesting project. So Vanita, next slide. That brings us to this new possibility. We are here with these two pictures here. We are inside the water plant. This is near the entrance to the front entrance of the plant and the conference room. This is a 2-story stairwell that leads the public from the ground floor up to the second floor. And we are undergoing some fairly sizable renovations at the water plant right now. And we're going to continue to do so over the next few years. But right now they involve a lot of interior work, and that kind of sparked some interest in what to do here with the stairwell. You can see it's a very large blank slate, basically, without much interest. And the fact that this stairwell plays an important role in our tours, our open house tours of the water plant every year, in addition to the corridor for public staff up to up to the laboratory and the control room. This is a highly traveled area that will receive a lot of viewership. So again, I think that this kind of sparks some interest in maybe painting of a mural of some sort to really brighten up this space and play a part of our public engagement process. So it kind of incorporated on the tours. Vanita, next slide. Really quickly, this was just another ground floor view showing the 2-story nature of the space. Next slide. So obviously we have not discussed any sort of style or ideas, but just for the sake of discussion, I wanted to share a few things that I was aware of along these lines. And in the Smithsonian, there's this fantastic artwork here, is construction of a dam. Incidentally, it's so interesting to me because this is This is essentially the exact year that the water plant originally finished construction and came into service. I'm just sharing here again possible ideas of things that could end up in that space. Something of a municipal construction type nature. Vanita, next slide. And similar to that, I think we're all familiar with the mural in the Detroit Institute of Arts. This is also of that same era in the early 1930s, and drawing upon like the Art Deco features of our original water plant. Next slide. And incidentally, I was able to grab some pictures from the Lansing Board of Water and Light, and they in fact coincidentally ended up with murals along this line too, showing infrastructure and the construction process and the construction workers, and essentially the history and the backbone of how they got to who they are now. I think the next slide is just another view of some of that. You can see it's quite a dramatic entry at the Lansing Board of Water and Light. Last slide is the point that I just wanted to make with this is it can be anything. We haven't started the process really just yet. It could be educational in nature, where it's reflecting like our own watershed of the Huron River, similar to like the artwork on the Manchester elevated tank that was Huron River water life. There are ideas of maybe a mural tying into specific components of our water plant, where it could be discussion points on an educational tour, because we do receive, in different times, we receive regular busload tours of students throughout southeastern Michigan. So there's all sorts of ideas, and I'm just sharing just to let the juices stir a little bit. But the engineer in me also thinks that maybe the stairwell, we don't want to have a spot for too much reading. We don't want people stopping and doing anything dangerous on a stairwell. But nevertheless, this does present a great opportunity to really liven the space, serve part of our public engagement strategy, and also be an educational tour in the whole process. Vanita and Craig, if I say anything incorrect, please let me know. I'm understanding that the budget for this is about $25,000 right now, and the details have not necessarily been hammered out yet. Whether it's a call to art or commissioning of an artist directly. There's a lot to be hammered out still. However, some of the input that I am receiving from plant staff, though, is that we do want some sort of control on some level about what goes in there, just because we feel it's so critical to our public engagement strategy. Knowing that this is the exact path for all of our public tours and all of the school tours and the open house, we envision using that as part of the story that we're telling. And that leads to the upstairs, where we're going to have further historical photographs of the construction of the water plant, just really telling the whole story, because the history is quite impressive. It's well documented way back from the early 30s, and much of that still exists today. Is there Is there anything else, Vanita and Craig, that I should be adding at this point?
No, I would just add a little bit to the history. You say to the early 30s for the water plant, but the water system itself goes further back than that to earlier days when it was a private water company prior. I don't remember off the top of my head, Glenn, but it was the turn of the 18th to the 19th century, if I remember correctly, when the water system was first formed. So there's quite a bit of history there.
There is, yes, thank you.
Budget is, Craig and Vita, are you guys looking at having city staff handle the call process to contracting it out? What are you?
As Glenn said, totally unformed as of now as to process. He is correct when we say it's about 8 days old.
Please forgive me for not having all the details hammered out yet.
No, I don't. As of early this week, I was having discussions with Brian, Glenn's boss, about financing and how we're going to swing it, etc. So none of those details are formed.
Yes.
Well, I would say just preliminarily, I think we're all on board to help support it, move it forward. It's really exciting. I think it has great potential.
Yeah.
I saw John's hand go up.
Go ahead, John.
Let me see if I'm on mute. No, I'm not. I want to compliment you, Glenn, on the Manchester Water Tower. I mean, I've been on the commission for too long, but that's the gold standard. That was done in-house by you, you're in-house, and it was widely supported. That you had many of the submissions at the water plant, that the outreach was absolutely incredible. And the final product was awesome. I don't know anyone that does not like that Manchester Water Tower. And you received, or the company, I think, received a national award for doing it. So absolutely wonderful. I'm delighted to hear that you're interested in doing another one, because as I recall, when you were presenting that, you really liked it. You liked every part of it, and you were raring to go again. So let me just, in the brainstorming, the 5-day-old project, give you kind of my feedback and take it as it is. I'm one of 9 or 10. What really attracts me is the notion of celebrating workers. Manual workers that get trade workers, that go to community colleges. I mean, that's a big thing right now, that there are a lot of folks that are kind of transitioning. And I think it's a perfect opportunity to do that, to celebrate work in much the way the Riveras and all the other things do it, but maybe do a modern twist. So that really touched me when I heard what you were saying, and when I was connected to those murals of workers. So I would encourage you to explore that. But again, this is just the minor stage. I'm absolutely tickled to know that you're going to take charge of this project, because I know it's just going to be absolutely awesome. So kudos.
Oh my gosh, John, thank you. Those are the kindest words. I'm so appreciative. Thank you very much.
Well deserved.
I will say I am equally excited about this as I am the elevated tank. So if some of these visions hold true, we're going to see great things.
I was just going to give a little more background. This came up on a Zoom call that Sarah and Benita and Glenn and I were having a week or so ago about the project that's already approved for enhancement at the water plant that's still a ways off. And Glenn volunteered this as an idea that he thought would be really cool. And a day or two later, Benita emailed that we had money for it. I thought she was volunteering to pay for it. Well, thanks, Vanita.
I might add that the Manchester Water Tower, as I recall, Craig, you correct me, this was one of the first volunteer, the CIP projects. This is one of the first ones that came about after the new charter was changed. The ordinance was changed, and you hit it out of the park. So it ties it all in.
If I can share, I know I'm speaking out of turn here. I just wanted to share, piggybacking on John here. My recollection is we received 600 public entries for the design of that. And the evaluation team scored every single one of them. It was such a tremendous public involvement. It was quite exciting. So thank you.
The challenge on this project, because it's at the water plant, it's in a secured facility. So trying to pick something where people would see it, while the stairwell you would think is a crazy place to bury art, but it's the only place in the plant that is likely to be seen on a regular basis by any of the public.
Craig, that's absolutely true. In fact, strangely enough, that's probably one of the spots that is viewed by the most public here on our site.
Sarah, you had your hand up.
I just wanted to say anecdotally that I grew up in Ann Arbor, going to Ann Arbor Public Schools, and I remember our field trip to the water treatment plant. And, you know, I think, and I still remember it to this day, and these have, you know, long-lasting effects. So I'm so happy to see that this is approved and moving forward. And I love the presentation you put together, Glenn. Those are great ideas for what that mural could be. And certainly that focus on education, I think, is so important. So really happy to see this move forward.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we're all real excited. Do we know what the timeline is for this project at all? As far as like, does it have to happen?
Allison, as we said, this project is 8 days old.
Well, I didn't know if there was like a timeline it has to be done by, or like we're trying to.
Glenn, you probably got another year on renovations out there yet?
Right, our capital project, exactly. It has about a year to go, maybe slightly less. So we're in that time frame. However, if we're doing this project the right way, doing this with you know, without compromise, if that pushes our project long, then so be it. We'll finish our work and we'll keep this mural going and finish it the right way.
Great. I'm excited. I would say, Glenn, just let us know how we can help push it forward, and you know, how you want us to be involved moving forward. I think we're all in support. I see Deb's hand before we move on, though.
It was just, this is a great project. I think the stairwell is a fantastic place to do it. I've spent a lot of time in stairwell art and on the stairwell looking at art, so this is great. And the loft of the space is really nice as well. What I was going to say is I don't know that, I know that it's been 8 days, which means that in 24 days or so, you should really have it all set to go. Because, you know, the planning phase is always about a quarter of it. And so, but I did want to be a little more serious and say, you know, the fact that you've got the green light and the fact that there may be funds encumbered and the fact that you might be able to move forward on some of the planning aspects of it sooner rather than later might not be such a bad thing. It would allow more time for public commentary. It would allow more time for, you know, gathering excitement, making the call more broad, things like that. And so I don't know that I would wait the whole year before getting this rolling. I think I might want to strike a little earlier while resources, excitement, and that 8-day push has really gotten things underway. So that would just be my only advice, is not to put it off too long, but really keep the interest rising and the put pieces in place. And if you're done a little early and ready to go before the renovations are done, so be it.
So the commission understands the timeline for this is not necessarily tied to the timelines for the architectural renovation. The project, the architectural renovations is the parent of the funding, but not driving the project.
Great. Anyone else have any last minute questions, or do you have any questions for us, Glenn?
I don't have any questions. However, as the project evolves, I'd be happy to continue updates.
Great. We'd love that. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. For those familiar faces, it was all great to see you again, and for all the new faces, I hope this will all be a great experience for everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn.
Okay, take care. Bye.
All right. Next on our agenda is old business, which it looks like we don't have any, and then new business, which we don't.
I think you skipped minutes.
Oh. Minutes isn't on my agenda, but we can do minutes. So minutes, we have 2 minutes to review and approve. So the first one we'll look at is last meetings, the January minutes. So do I have a motion to approve? John, a second? Deb, great. Any discussion?
No.
No, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, those minutes are approved. The other minutes we have to look at and approve are the December, that's that retreat that we do. And do I have a motion to, John? Do I have a second? Deb, thank you. Any discussion?
Oh, and I'm sorry, if Sarah would like to be the second on that, I'm more than happy to
Okay, Sarah is second on that.
yield the seconding, so.
David, your hand went up for discussion.
Yeah, on the third page of that, there's a presentation discussion at the top of the first paragraph of that page. And in particular, down toward the bottom of that paragraph, it says that a recent mural installment on the back exterior potbelly is a new art take on the convergence of university life. I think either represents or needs to come out of that before it gets posted.
Great, Vanita's doing a thumbs up. She's got to change
Okay.
that. I noticed on the 5th page, it's just a formatting thing. The special projects group just needs to be a space and then it underlines so it's clear that the bullets underneath the special project group relate to that. And I read it and I was like, wait, that's not a policy and governance, but so it's just a little formatting thing there. Any other discussion of the minutes? So I would assume those are in-kind changes and we can just move forward with approving the minutes with those small changes. All in favor?
As long as the
First and second.
First and
John
second, agree.
Sarah, are you okay with moving forward with those small changes? I'm seeing some thumbs up. Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, we've got minutes from our last 2 meetings. It looks like I'm working off of a draft agenda, so please correct me if I miss anything else. The next thing on my agenda is old business. Nothing there. And then I have new business, which I have nothing. Okay. And then we have report from staff.
I'll jump in, starting off with the Allen Creek Berm project update. The construction on that, the berm tunnel is essentially complete. There's restoration work that needs to be done, landscaping work in the spring. The issue we have on that project is we are significantly over budget on the project. And so currently there is not available funds for the mural at the end of, on the wall. Not saying that it won't happen, but it's not going to happen in the springtime. The nature of the cost overruns are, without saying too much, there's probably some lawsuits involved. And until those wind their way through, we won't know fully what funding is left for that. But that all being said, that might be a site for these folks that presented earlier in the meeting to do one of their murals. So.
And the space is prepped for a mural, correct?
It is what the treatment was left neutral. They'll probably have to strip the sealer off the wall to put the mural on it. But I don't think it has the full anti-graffiti coating on that stretch, if I remember correctly. The other piece of news on the Allen Creek berm opening, a corporation has come forward and is interested in doing art at the intersection of the tunnel walkway and Depot Street. And I have, as of this morning, when I was talking to their rep, they would like to be on your next meeting's agenda to talk about what they are thinking about and what possible treatments they would fully fund for that entranceway.
Does it make sense for them to put together the formal application like we just told Aaron and Julian
Yeah,
to do prior to that meeting?
we can ask them to do that.
It might just percolate and give them some
Yeah.
ideas about what we might ask them about in that meeting, and they might become more prepared or whatever.
When you see who it is, they are a very well-known, large real estate investor in the area. They build projects and hold on to them. They don't build them and flip them. And they might be near the tunnel location, if that gives you any clue.
Greg, you also have their name in our minutes from
Yeah,
December.
I think you may have told us.
Oh,
that.
okay. Yeah, it's First Martin.
But have they done, has First Martin done public art projects previously?
Not,
You count the train.
yeah, that the trestle is their art project. They preserved the trestle and
Oh,
put a rail car up there.
okay.
The issue for them will be the public engagement part. But we will share the application for them to use when they come back.
Great.
Okay.
Did I see someone, does someone have a hand? Sophie?
Yeah, I was just wondering whether it's possible, legal or wise, to put a sign up near either of these places that aren't funded for murals and things, saying, we would love to have a mural here. If you want to contribute to this happening, send money here, wherever. Or is that not done? Because a lot of the people going under those places probably think this really needs a mural. And they might, you know, be willing to help it happen.
Generally, the city has not gone out and sought funding. I'm not saying we couldn't, but that has been the past practice. We're not into the crowdfunding, etc. The nearest we came to that was the Jewett Memorial Chairs, and we didn't do it. An individual did it, and it got, Vanita shaking her head or nodding her head, it got quite hairy.
Yes.
John was there for that extravaganza.
I think.
Don't put me there, no.
We've heard
Back
from
to our
Well.
inability to have a dedicated source or our place that people would donate to that would
Yeah.
automatically go towards public art within
And that would be the
that's the
area
problem.
foundation.
Well, sort of. I mean, I think that there might be a both and for what Sophie is suggesting, that we should probably talk more of as a group, is that certainly something to get people to look into more information about something is always a good thing. And then talking about the possibilities of where funding might come from or how they can contribute either through spreading the word about it or something else. But I do think that there should be a way for the public to engage back about the project if they want more information or if they might be interested in donating to the endowment, those kinds of things. So I think that there is a really good sort of PR element there that could lead to some funding toward public art in general. And we could also then talk about how any donations that might go to the foundation for this might somehow be reworked into our annual interest take toward a project. So for instance, if you contributed to the endowment a certain amount, that amount could then be used from our interest earnings up to a certain point against that project. So I think we can do some shifting that would allow for some crowdsourcing that might not be quite as direct as money to money, but that would generate interest in things that we already do have set up and raise awareness that way.
John?
Let me dovetail and Deb. I think it's a great idea what Sophie has brought up, is that we should think about engaging not just opinions, but also money from folks so that they can buy in to what we're doing. These particular projects, however, I think come funded. I mean, the folks from Burns Park, they're pretty confident they have the money, and it sounds like First Martin does have the money. So it may not be these projects to start with, but I think Sophie's idea is worth exploring, as Deb has mentioned. Maybe even something after a project. If you like this, you can actually help with the next one, and this is how you help. But I think that that's a great idea that Sophie has brought up, and it should be explored. We have some working group, I'm sure, that could do that.
Oh, I'm sure we could make a working group if we don't have one, John. I mean, we only have 45 working groups, so, you know.
I'm sure we could.
Allison needs another one to be on.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the fundraising work group who should put this into their thinking caps and try to make something like this happen for sure.
Yeah, even just like a QR code somewhere nearby to, as John says, some of the more popular ones, and like the canoe one and things, and you might get a few pennies added.
Good idea, Sophie.
Thank you.
Allison, if I could be so bold to move on to the next one. The city flag project, I have had conversations with Mayor Taylor. I owe him the therefore clauses of a resolution for council to use to direct or request the Ann Arbor Public Art Commission to take on the project of a city flag. I admit I got sidetracked the last 3 weeks with some family matters, but we'll be back on track, and I suspect, Travis, you might want to sponsor that along with the mayor when it comes.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I actually also spoke with the mayor this week about it, and similarly, he mentioned that he spoke with Mr. Hubie and was hoping to have a resolution that we could work on together. And so we anticipate that likely to come sometime soon. But I think he was also thinking that this would probably be a project for the spring. So I don't think we're behind or anything like that. So yeah, we will certainly work on that and have something to bring to council so that we can provide some direction to this body.
It is direction, but I think of it as cover for this body to go forth and do it.
Okay. Next.
To have the APAC project folder update on here, or at least on my draft agenda.
I think everybody's gotten the link already from Jake on accessing that project folder.
I see some head shaking no.
Okay. You should have an email from Jake Chase. It's a Microsoft account. If you don't have it, I can certainly send it back out or ask that he forward that back out to you.
You probably may have not have recognized what it was coming from Jake Chase and Microsoft. Hopefully it didn't get caught in a spam folder.
So this is what's going to give you access to that really cool shared folder that Vanita shared with us last meeting.
Yeah.
And there'll be individual folders for each of our working groups where you can upload files that you guys are sharing and working on together. There's also going to be other documents that are more like reference for you as far as meeting minutes and agendas and bylaws and all that kind of stuff also.
Should I be looking for an email from someone called Jake Chase?
Yes.
One.
John, did you get yours? How did yours
Yeah.
come through? Okay.
It was filtered through updates or something like that with
Okay.
Gmail, but it did not get spammed.
Okay.
So I guess if you look through your emails and you don't see it, just let Vanita know and she can work with Jake to get you that information.
Yeah, I can't. It doesn't come up in search, so I don't know.
CHASE.
Nothing there. Nope.
It seems like a resend might be best, Vanita.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like Sophie and David could use a resend. Anyone else need a resend? Just raise your hand.
I also don't have it in my notes.
I have found it in my spam box.
Oh, you found it, Sophie?
Yep.
Great. So it looks like Sarah might want to resend too, Vanita. Any other updates from Vanita or Craig?
No.
All right. We'll move on to our reports from our work groups and start with our business owners and developers work group.
Nothing to report. The design review board did not meet.
Okay. CIP working group.
Okay, so hopefully you got my email with a couple pages of recommendations for you, which I would hope I could put my finger on, but I'm not right now. So there were a few things on there that were a little, that we might want to discuss. The main one being there are several big housing projects added to the CIP this year. And there's been a lot of public discussion about them using city land and obviously the tax millage that was just passed very recently. So they've been added to the CIP and we would love to have public art on them. I have reached out to Jennifer Hall at the Housing Commission. I have not gotten a response back, so we haven't talked to her about these. And I don't know, what the possibility is of using that millage money or what other sources there may be. Typically, the tax credits that they get for public or affordable housing barely pays for the project, so they haven't had a lot of possibility in the past. This one just has some new things about it. So that's one that we're still trying to refine. The other one is that I had put in there about this project that we just discussed at the water plant, the stair painting. And I don't know if that really needs to go in here because it's kind of already funded. It's not really part of the enhancement process. That's that last one that you see right there, that Benita just put up. But there were a couple others that we thought were worth putting in there for enhancement. We've also been having a lot of discussions with people about either potential new projects or projects that were already approved for enhancement and how we can get involved in those. So some of them are starting to move forward, not all of them by any means, but a couple of them are starting to have a little bit of movement. So we hope to see something happening maybe in the next year or two with another art project.
So David, I know that includes one of the fire stations. Can you elaborate a little bit which ones we are hoping are likely to move forward within?
Yeah, there were a couple of fire station projects in the CIP that we got approved a couple years ago. And one of them, it's the replacement of the fire station on Huron Parkway, south of Washtenaw. So they're tearing the existing one down and rebuilding it. It's a pretty tight site, but because of the odd shape of the site, there will be some land available. There's also a park right next door. So it's possible, I would think maybe it'd be possible for the artwork to go in the park instead of on the site if we just can't find a place. We also, in the process of discussing that, did some online looking, and the fire chief sent us some stuff about artwork that he'd seen and liked. And there are a lot of cool examples of fire station or fire related artwork that have been done at fire stations around the country. So there's a lot of cool models that we can work with. But they are just in the process of signing an agreement with the architect who will be working on that. So they don't even have the building designed yet. They'll talk with them about whether it's possible to incorporate a place for art, but it may be something that we need to kind of come in afterward and figure out how it can go, because it's such a tight site and a difficult program.
But this is the perfect time to be having those conversations, with the architect involved, potentially could go on an exterior wall or something, so I'm excited that we're hitting the ground running at this point rather than coming in at the final moment.
And he was very supportive of doing something with it as well.
Great.
So that was good.
David, I would leave the stairwell project on your document so that anybody looking at it knows that that's one that has the commission support.
Okay.
My only question is, Craig, this is document is being prepared to go to city council for their approval. What if they look at it and say, well, we don't want that?
I would hope that we don't go there with that, but I would rather fight that battle there at council than finding out that we're doing art without their knowledge.
Okay.
I don't expect that that's going to be an issue this time around.
They haven't been opposed to art. They've just been opposed to paying for art, and we've already got the money for this one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. John?
I know it's late. I'll be very brief, but I'd be remiss. David comes around with these opportunities once a year. This, in my opinion, is the single best opportunity to expand the public art collection of Ann Arbor. What we are doing is that we are leveraging material that's already going into municipal construction and incorporating creative design, public art. This is huge. It's actually in the ordinance, and it's more than one line. It goes through it tasks us with discovering to counsel the council, to advise the council on what projects have the greatest opportunity for public art. David and his team spent 2 years identifying a way of doing that, a process of doing that, and how to do it. And he's applied that to these CIP projects. And as Allison has pointed out, this is the best way to incorporate art actually within the building. It's at the design process, not sticking it on to the end. So this is near and dear to my heart. This is, I believe, one of the most important things the Art Commission can do, and it has the greatest opportunity to actually expand the art collection. So I've done my little piece. I will do it next year, but kudos to David. And the other thing that I think is really important is Allison is now on that CIP committee. That's absolutely, I think, essential to get the chair of the Art Commission. And, you know, I mean, David knows the mechanics of this machine that he's invented. And you know, I mean, it comes out very well. So if there is, in fact, opposition at council, we council members that support art will say, I know because they've done it before, look, this is exactly what we've asked the Art Commission to do. This is what they're doing for us. And this isn't approving a specific art piece. This is just saying the project has potential enough to build a slot into it moving forward. And if, as Craig pointed out, the tunnel project ends up not having enough money, that's what happens. But at least we planned it into it. So I'm sorry, I've said enough. Thank you very much.
Well, and so today we're looking at these recommendations, and David, are we gonna approve them here so that they can move forward, or what were we hoping?
Yeah, I would like to approve them so that we can start seeing when they might go to council. Hopefully we'll have time to talk to Jennifer Hall before it goes to council, and we'll have a better sense of what that piece of it can happen, but it usually takes quite a while to get onto a council agenda with this. Also want to throw in from John's discussion, thank you. Need to mention that Sarah Fuller joined our committee this year, our work group, and has put in a lot of time on Zoom calls with me. So thank you for that as well.
Forward, Sarah, forward. Or onward, as the mayor says.
So I guess I would make a motion to approve those recommendations if anyone would like to second it.
Second.
Seconding. Any discussion? Great. Deb?
I think we should do it.
All right, all approve, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, it's approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Yep, Craig and Benita, if you can let us know when that gets put onto City Council's agenda. Travis, that'll be a big one for you to want to push forward, and you know, touch base with us if you have any questions about these projects. They can be really not complicated, I guess is the wrong word, because it's like not described at all what the projects are in the CIP, but David has a good grasp on what these projects are if you want more information on what they potentially could be.
No, I don't. Nobody does.
Well, as good of a grasp as we can have on what these projects might be in the next 10 years or whatever.
Most of them are still quite a ways off, so
Yeah,
some of them may never happen.
So if we want that on the March 1st agenda, we'd have to hear back by February 16th in order to have it on that March agenda.
Yeah.
The next deadline date for staff would be March the 3rd, and it would go on the March 15th agenda.
Okay.
So those are the dates to try to hear back from Jennifer.
Yeah, and none of this is a commitment that each project that we recommend or even that gets approved will have art on it. Some may not work out, but this is what we've been tasked to do by council, so we have to submit something and they can decide where to go with
it. But I know that it's been said, but I think it's worth being re-said and maybe said again. So I'm going to help here, David. Maybe it's helpful. These are projects that may or may not have art, but could have no obligations far in the future, no money being ascribed to it in this moment. Am I doing okay so far, David?
Money is sort of a range, a budget range, is in the proposal.
It does get attached to it in the CIP for whatever that's worth.
But not encumbered.
No,
So just to be clear what this is, it is a planning document of the first kind.
yes.
Right. Do we have any other discussion around this item before we move on to our next working group?
Nope.
Thank you so much, David and Sarah. We will move on to the communication and art placement work group. We have not met, so we will have an update for you next time. Same with fundraising. Same with the leadership forum. It was a fast month, guys. Nominating and membership. I don't know who's on that one. Is that me too?
I don't think so, since you're a chair, right?
The hardest working commission in the city. That's all I can say.
I think I might be on that. And that has been a working group. We don't have a report.
I think we're full up for members anyways, right?
And it's also to nominate a slate for leadership.
Yeah.
So what is done in the past is that this working group polled everyone to find out how they feel about the existing leadership and who they think might be good leaders in the future, and that this working group would use all of that and create a slate to present for, that says, do I have that, is that the working group I'm talking about?
I think so.
As I knowledgeable,
Yeah, you're on there with Jonah. Jonah's on with you as well.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
So it's just a matter of timing for when that leadership piece turns over. And I believe that's at the fiscal, is it not? June?
No, it's at the annual. Did we have a vote on the chair? What month is this? Well,
February.
we should have had a vote in January, I think. So maybe we're a little bit behind. I will send out a survey and try to get everyone, and we can do that at our next meeting and present a slate with, how many years have you been, Allison? Is this your third year coming up? Or have you already had? The chair can only serve for 3 years.
I can be done at the end of this time.
What?
I can be done at the end of this time.
At the end of this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just let her go for another year.
If I might recommend, Vanita, could you ascertain when our last leadership change occurred? And
Yeah, I thought those were part of the minutes for December. There are 3 folks coming up. They may be in the minutes for December, that December retreat. I'll take a look at that and send
well,
that back.
that's for membership. That's for replacements for council people, or I mean commissioners, correct?
Yeah, and it gives, yes, and it's the end dates as well, right?
Right. But what I want to go back to is when did we typically have our leadership votes? When were my sense of it was that it was later than January, but if it was January, then we are indeed behind.
Okay.
I think it's in the ordinance, whatever. So I think if we can find that out, Vanita can find that out. And we'll just assume that Allison this year would be her 3rd year. She hasn't already served. And I can have a seance right now.
I think we can nail this down for the next meeting, so.
Okay.
Do we get to do like Putin Medvedev switcheroos and you can step down and then step back up again later, or is it 3 years and that's it, you're done?
Well, no, I think it's 3 consecutive, but there were a lot of discussion with previous commissioners that we wanted to set in place kind of a a way of training leaders. So if everything goes well, Deb Mexicott, the vice chair, would move into the best position for chair. Just as Allison was my vice chair, she became chair. And so the whole idea of identifying folks that might have potential for leadership is important. And then this working group would reach out to those folks to see, do they have any interest? And I can tell you, we reach out to David Esau constantly, and he constantly says, no, thank you. So I'm sorry, Travis.
No, you're fine. While we were talking here, I did pull up the bylaws from the website, and it does say that the term of each officer shall run to the date of the commission's regular meeting in January.
Yeah,
And
so
so
we should have done it in December.
Yeah, that was, so we definitely need to do it as soon as we can. And we just need to get those pieces in place. So John, do you need anything from any of us at this point, or would you like our help with getting that reset up?
No, I think I have a copy of the survey. It's like 3 questions, tell us what you think of the existing leadership. Tell us whether you'd be interested. Tell us if you can recommend anyone else on the art commission that would be interested in the future. So we assemble all of that, and I think it might be, what did you like best about the leadership? We don't ask what. David.
I was just going to say, is there any reason not to just vote on this right now? I mean,
Yes.
No, let's do it. Let's do it. Save me a lot of time.
No.
That's what I said.
I'm going to say no.
No. Me too.
We need to go through the process, right? I mean, if this is an annual process, we need to follow it, even if we're late.
Okay.
I'll do it. And Jonah, I will tie him in. We'll get it done.
Because one of the things that concerns me, and this is something that why I said, John, if you want to, chat with Allison and I about this afterwards, I mean, while this is getting put together, because you only have 2 people on the committee, and maybe you could use a hand, not from us necessarily.
I will share everything.
But the other piece of it is that since it's January, and those terms are calendar wise, they don't necessarily intersect with people's terms. So we need to be cognizant of that as well. I mean, for instance, my term is up in, I believe, May.
Correct.
And so voting me in for any sort of 3-year term is something we need to probably look at a little more carefully.
Well, you'd only be voted in for 1 year.
But there's only half a year left.
But if you're not interested in being reappointed, then, well, the thing is that you can serve as vice chair, and when it's vacated, I think it says when it's vacated, we can reelect a vice chair. But
right, that's correct. But I think that having that all laid out is important before entering into that commitment.
I love the way you're thinking about this, Deb. I will put a draft together. I will share it with you and Allison, and you can give me feedback.
One thing I might suggest we do this evening, if indeed we are currently rudderless by statute, is that we could huzzah a temporary until such time as a temporary continuance of the current leadership until the next meeting or the time that we decide will be the vote. We could do that if it made people feel better.
So moved.
You got that, Benita? The way that I phrased that is very carefully worded resolution.
Go back to the recording.
I do.
Right.
We have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Hold on, I can't see everybody with the document up, so.
No discussion.
Okay. So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, you're stuck with us.
For as long as till the next vote at least.
For
So.
now.
My
John
apologies
has a
for
big-
not really being on top of this better.
I just want to say, just for the gather, because I really love you guys and all, but the pandemic has really just thrown off our time frames in ways that I would never have expected to happen. And it is not just here. I mean, it is amazing how the time soup has affected most of the other organizations I'm on, my colleagues at the university. It has been difficult keeping track of what is normally very routine. So I just want to say that, we shouldn't beat ourselves up too much over this. We just need to do what we need to do to get back on track.
Yeah, and I would say, Vanita, if possible, could you make note of like specific things that we should be voting on at certain meetings? So like in December, it sounds like we should be voting on leadership. And then in January, we should be approving an annual plan, those kinds of things that we have to have specific votes on. Could you make a note of that in some sort of document that you share with us in that folder so that we can
all of those things are already in the folder. I have a feeling that what we should look at would be the annual retreat in December and pulling some of those things off of there and adding them to that site for all to access. That'd be fine. I just don't want to be charged with doing it and keeping track of making deadlines. So if somebody else wants to work with me on that, I'd be happy to do that.
Work group should be doing it, and I was remiss.
No. Deb, thanks.
One of the other things that has been done is that on some committees that I'm on where there is an annual thing, is that there are templates for each of those agendas, and it just sits on the template. And so when you pull up the December agenda, it's like, oh, look, there it is. Or when you pull
the project folder does have calendars, so we'd be able to put all of those things exactly on that calendar within the folder.
Right, and even whatever it takes to just get it so that you don't even have to even look at the calendar. The agenda template comes up for December, and there it is. So
yeah,
no, that would be great. Thank you.
Moving on.
Okay, so we will look for something from John, survey-wise, coming up for that group. Policy and governance. In our last meeting, we had talked about how the line item was moving forward. Have we heard anything back about that, Vanita?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
We had talked about in our last meeting that the line item that we were asking for potentially for funding had been dropped off at whatever office it was supposed to go to. Did you get anything back on that?
No, it did not go. I don't know what council agenda it was on. We were due to have it in by February 1st. I haven't been notified that it's been on agenda yet.
Okay.
But it has gone in.
Yes.
So it's out of our hands.
Was that just an annual budget request? So it would go in whenever they do that?
And the budget is still being formed.
Yeah.
It was the dedicated line item.
Yeah, so that's probably a May vote, right?
Yes.
Okay. Special projects.
By me? Golden Paintbrush is teetering on the brink of being ready to go in, a day or two, Vanita? We've been having discussions with the design department who've been finishing up designing all the nomination forms for the website and the virtual flyer and things like that. So wasn't quite ready for this meeting, but I think in the next couple of days it might be.
Yeah, I think Robert's working on the website is all ready except that he has the survey attached to the website. And I think he's all set with that. So he probably, Sophie, will reach out to you or I sometime before the week is out. I don't know that you're ready to push that live just yet.
You should probably have someone else look at it first, but yeah.
Yeah, he will share a preview of that first, but I'm pretty sure when you say yes, he's ready to click the button.
And I just had a question, Sophie, because I looked at that again today. I know we've been doing drafts back and forth. Did we ever change the deadline submission for nominations, or did we keep that as April? Did we move that to later?
I don't have that.
You know, Vanita, I don't have it pulled up right here. I was just worried that if we, when we started this early on in the fall, it looked like we had a lot of time for nominations, and I just want to make sure we give ourselves enough time for nominations, because I do feel like Deb mentioned, time kind of goes.
Yeah. No, well, actually, what Robert was saying was that it's better not to have an endlessly long nomination period, because then it concentrates people's minds a bit more. If they think, oh, it was sometime in the future, and then they go, oh, when was that? And they miss it. So he said, keep it as it is, but
I only thought about it today because I'm involved in an education project with the University of Michigan Art Museum, and I'd love to nominate this partner. No, I can't, but I'd like someone to nominate it, but I don't know if the project will be done by the end of April. So since we incorporated education as part of our...
Yeah, I don't think it has to be... I mean, if you know that it is finishing,
okay,
then that's okay, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll go back.
I think you could nominate it. So
Even if it's
I
not
think
complete.
part of it is we could nominate ourselves. Artists could nominate, so you could nominate the project.
Okay.
Yeah,
My understanding.
I also just wanted, Sophia, as that becomes available in the next couple of days, I know that I mentioned this before, but as soon as you can let me know as well, and I'll make sure that all of my colleagues are aware, and so that we can help spread the word as well and post to our social media and share in our newsletters to the extent that folks are interested in helping with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does the timeline allow for, if you don't get as many submissions as you think are enough, does it allow you to potentially extend the deadline if you want to?
I don't think anybody will come and smack our hand if we do, but I would rather not, even if there aren't a huge number. I think it would be better to start with not that many nominations for the first year and build up from there, because otherwise people get to assume you're going to extend it, you know what I mean? So unless
Yeah.
we
I guess my question was more not about the number, or if you just didn't get any quality nominations or something, there's that potential for
I'm
extension.
not sure if there's a requirement that we give all of the awards out. I can't remember whether it's required that we do or not.
I don't think it was. It was just up to a certain number. So give one, we give one.
Okay. All right, any other questions or thing related to the special projects? The next group.
I just want, I'm sorry, Allison, I just want to say hooray, in a couple of days, it's going to get launched. I just want to say great work, good job, hooray.
Come on, Sophie.
All y'all.
I had Peg holding my feet to the fire there. Fairly near the fire anyway.
And then we have the youth outreach work group.
Yeah, actually, Jonah and I, we had an email conversation, and we were going to meet soon to kind of talk about that.
Great.
I was in a meeting this week with a gentleman. His name is Trevor Stone. He's been hired by the Neutral Zone as their artist in residency, and he's really interested in involving some young people in painting a mural. So I thought that he might be a great connection to our Pickle Street Mural Company. So anyway, we'll work on that. And Jonah and I are going to talk soon.
He used to be at Riverside, right? Riverside Gallery in the past.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with him, but when I brought him up at my art meeting today, everyone knew him. Do you know him, Sophie?
Well, he used to be at Riverside.
Oh, okay. Okay. He's got a lot of energy. You know, when you come on a new job, you got a lot of energy and tons of ideas. So
Good guy, yeah.
I think Mary Thiefels had that job for a while, didn't she?
I think she did. Yeah.
All right, well, before we adjourn, are there any updates or things that anyone would like to share for the greater good? Sarah?
This is information I actually just got yesterday that I thought might be good to pass on to the business development group. And my apologies because I had forgotten who was on it. So I would have sent this via email, but just wanted to give a quick shout out. My day job at Motawi, I received an email from someone who works at KLA, which is a new company that is going to be building a big headquarters here in Ann Arbor. This is by Woodridge Avenue near the U of M Botanical Gardens. They reached out because they'd like to do a make a tile workshop with us for their employees to create a wall of employee artwork, tile artwork. And it just made me think, if they're thinking in that along those veins, and this is a huge campus that they will be constructing, it might be worth reaching out and seeing if there can be any collaboration in terms of other artworks they might want to incorporate in that campus. I can, you know, who is on the business development work group, just so I can.
John and David.
John and David.
I am.
John, all right. So I will send you a link just so you can see the campus. It's very contemporary, really interesting looking, and could be a good connection.
Cool. Thank you.
I have an announcement, which is that the formerly Ann Arbor Women Artists, as couple of months ago, became Huron River Art Collective, and has been working its little cotton socks off to get a new website up with a new name, which hopefully next week will be up and running. And so look out for that. Huron River Art Collective. It's got all new graphics, all new mission, trying to be bigger and more inclusive and more exciting and more diverse and all that. So it should be good. And I'm on the board of that, which is too many things, but there we are.
Great.
I just wanted to say that many of you are probably aware of the University of Michigan President's Arts Initiative that he implemented as a 3-year project about a year ago. The pandemic sort of delayed that a little bit, but they have recently posted for a managing director position for that arts initiative at the University of Michigan. And I just wanted to sort of say that out loud to the viewing audience and to each of y'all to just have a look at that. And if you are yourselves perhaps interested or know someone that might be interested or good for that position, please inform them of that opening.
Right, well, if there are no more announcements, is there a motion to adjourn? Do I have to do that? A motion? John? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Good work, everyone. Thank you.
Adjourned. Have a good
Well
night.
done.
Thank you.
Bye.
Aye.